right.
Facebook a number of times. Okay, good. Got it.
So they're going now. The meeting is live stream. Thank you. So
Thank
let's
you.
wait more people to join. Yes. So
I'm
you're
really
enjoying?
looking forward.
Yeah,
Really looking forward to tonight.
me too.
Yeah.
So let's wait for another 4 minutes, then we can start at 9 sharp. Right. I'll check our Facebook group now. I can check on the phone just to make sure everything is all good.
Doing well.
Yes, we're going live.
Okay, good, good. Oh,
First,
first person on. Always nice to see. Hello,
yes.
Madeline. Always nice to see. Oh, there we are. I'll just turn it off so I don't have any interference. So did you go to and from today on your business trip?
Yeah, no, I traveled on Thursday.
Oh, okay. Oh, Svetlana.
Yeah. So I traveled Thursday, then I came back today.
Lovely. Lovely.
But it was a long trip. Yesterday I was traveling. I went to one town and came back on the same day. So, but it's really fun, enjoying it.
That's good. That's good. I know Svetlana. Nice to see you, Svetlana. Hello, Madeline.
Right.
Okay, Razan. Svetlana is a former district director of Toastmasters.
Ah,
Good
Oh,
evening.
yes. Good evening.
good
Nice
evening.
to see
It's
you.
evening on my side.
Yes, it is to us too. It's almost 9 o'clock at night. Where are you, Madeline?
You're mute?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm in mute land. I'm unmuted now. I'm in Delaware, so that's the middle of the east coast of the United States.
Right.
So midday for
it's
me.
Eastern time. Yeah, good.
Exactly.
We wanted to set this one up for North Americans.
You did,
And
thank you.
Europeans as well, because when we run it on Middle East, because Mohammed and I are both in Dubai. And so when we run it on Dubai time, it's great for the Middle East and India, but not so great
Right.
for all of you. And I'm
Thank
a
you
West
for that.
Coast of Canada girl, so I get the time thing. Hi, Razan.
Mohammed, I was listening to your remark about your travel, and I'm glad my face was off screen. It was registering, oh, I'm glad I'm not doing that kind of traveling anymore. I'm glad you are.
No, it's really fun. I mean, for me, traveling, if I plan it well in a way how I'm going to use my time, that it would be really very productive for me.
Hello, May. Oh, May is in Vancouver. She's from my Vancouver Toastmasters Club as well. Hi, my dear. Nice to see you.
Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. And Owen is on. Nice to see you, Mr. Owen. I just love it when the people come on.
Hey,
Good to see you. And Razan is there. Quiet as a mouse.
Good evening.
Good
Good
evening. Where are
evening.
you, Razan?
I'm currently in Bethlehem.
Are you?
Bethlehem.
Ah,
Oh.
lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Thank you.
And there's Erica Kelly, who is one of the founders of the World Women's Organization, a beautiful colleague. I'm so happy to see you. It's great. Should we give it
Patty.
maybe 1 or 2 minutes and then we'll start? Yes.
Patty, this is amazing. Everyone, hello from California, US.
Hey.
Patty, I love you. I'll be quiet, but I wanted to say I love you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. And it's Mike from Nigeria and Gaurav from Dubai. This is a wonderful experience. Hi, Mike. How are you doing? Many people on here are Toastmasters. Mike is a Toastmaster from Nigeria. And you, of
Correct.
course, know Gaurav.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Madeline, are you a Toastmaster by any chance? I mean, you don't have to be.
I
You
am a
are.
Toastmaster. I'm presently a passive Toastmaster if that's possible. I'm only passive if you're within the Toastmaster organization. I was in New York and now I'm in Delaware, and so that's reconfigured it. I'm happy for the internet and Zoom.
Yeah. I'm a
Okay,
former governor in the old days, area governor in 53. I was in Putnam County for a number of years before I moved to New York City. Okay. Hi, Gaurav. Hi, everyone. Mike, I can't see you. Just that nice
Hi,
picture of
Paddy.
you. Hi, how are you, Gaurav?
Very well.
Are you outside? You are.
Yeah, I just stepped out. My son's suspected of COVID. So I'm just going to get an RT-PCR test done.
Ah, and there's Mike. You're muted, my dear man.
Hi, Paddy. Nice to
It's
see
so
you,
nice
everybody.
to see you. So
Hey,
nice
good
to
to see
see
The
you.
pleasure is mine.
Thank you. Okay, shall we begin?
Yes,
Yeah.
you shall.
First of all, I'm sure there will be other people joining, but it's a great pleasure to welcome all of you this evening. I would like to introduce you to my partner in Thinking into Results, Mr. Mohammed Sabri. He is also here with me in Dubai. For Mike, you may not know, I have left Oman and I'm now in Dubai. Before we get going, I want to tell you a very interesting story of how I met Mohammed Sabri. You see, we just never know where the energy is going to go. So it will be 4 years ago this coming May when I was asked to speak at a convention in Muscat, Oman. And you give these talks and then afterwards people come up and they talk to you. And this man came up to me and he gave me this book, Wallace D. Wattles, The Science of Getting Rich. And well, the very first Bob Proctor seminars I had ever gone to were The Science of Getting Rich. And then he just disappeared. And I wondered so many times, who was that masked man? Who was that man that gave me that book? Because he just disappeared. And then I became a student again of Bob Proctor's in this Thinking into Results program. And Gaurav, who's also on the line, said to me one day, he said, Patty, I have a friend in Dubai who is also doing Thinking into Results. Maybe I could connect you. I said, well, sure, because I love to collaborate. And before I even finished that conversation, I got a message, a Facebook message from Mohammed Sabri. I wonder if you remember me. I'm the man who gave you the book, The Science of Getting Rich in Oman. I still get goosebumps every time I think of that story, because as we do the work of Thinking into Results, and as we begin to raise our consciousness and our awareness, and as we begin to raise our vibration, these incredible things happen. And we always say it's like magic, except it's not magic.
Magic.
As dear old Einstein would say, and he's way smarter than I'll ever be, this is not philosophy, this is physics. This is what happens when you really begin to use your mind, your mental faculties, building that mental strength that helps you create, as Mary Morrissey would say, a life that you love. And if I may deviate for 1 second, because my very dear friend from New York, Mary McDonald, has joined this call. Mackie, it's so good to see you. Thank you. And I see now Waleed. This is a beautiful evening. Anyway, let us get to work. I would like, Mohammed, would you like to just say anything before we begin the slides?
I'm very excited really for this event. I like the topic that we're going to present because I believe it helped me a lot in my life. I mean, like maybe I don't want to ruin what we are going to speak, but today I had an incident while traveling back from India to Dubai. And anyone who travels, he knows every day there's a new regulations about the COVID, the testing. So I finished everything. I had almost 2 hours. So rushing, everything works well. Then submit my passport. They said, oh, you did not take a permit to come back to Dubai. I said, what? So again, those bad things. I said, come on, hey, I'm going to give an event. I should have that mental strength. So I use those techniques always. I said, whatever happens, happens. If I'm, can go to bed, I can. If not, okay, I'll move on. So in a way, happens on a daily basis during the days where you need really to have a robust mental strength to handle all the changes that you will be facing in your life. So looking forward, Paddy, I'm very happy to work with you and excited to hear what you're going to present for us today. Thank you.
Thank you. And we will be presenting together, and it's a great honor. And it feels like magic to be working with Mohammed, but we know it isn't. We know it's the law of vibration. And so we want to talk to you this evening. I'm just going to get ready now to share my screen. How come it always does this? I put it back at the beginning and it didn't go there. So come on, there we go. I want to caveat this whole evening by saying, we're going to talk about building your mental strength as if it's just the easiest thing in the world to do. And it's not. There are it's a study. We study every day. Mohammed and I and all of us who are in this program and work this program, we study every day because we have to keep our vibration, our mind. Mental strength is something that you develop. Now, our dear teacher, Bob Proctor, just passed away a week ago yesterday, and he was actually somebody, I think, who had really mastered mental strength, but he had been studying this for 60 years, and he studied every day. He was our great teacher. He's a tremendous loss to us. So let's get going. Let's look at our agenda. Well, first of all, this is me. Yes, I have been teaching, coaching, helping develop people for just over 50 years now. I always say I started when I was 2. But the truth of the matter is I began my entrepreneurship and my coaching when I was 18, just about to turn 19, in the field of professional figure skating. I was a professional figure skater for a number of years. I've been a mentor and advisor. I still am for executives and professionals. I am the founder, the CEO, and the principal of Kennedy Communication Studio International. It's a company registered in Canada, but it has clients, I'm very pleased to say now, from over 100 countries. I am a Proctor Gallagher consultant, and I'm a proud mom of a 44-year-old son and my beautiful daughter-in-law that had I a daughter, Amber would be my daughter. So I'm a very proud mom, and I guess mom-in-law, but I just think of Amber as my daughter. My dear partner this evening, Mr. Mohammed Sabri, has helped professionals and startups developing a success mindset for career and businesses and growth through mentorship. He continues to mentor and advise executives and startups. He has been in the inner circle of the Proctor Gallagher consultancy. Now that means that he was in the top 1% of all of the consultants in the whole world. And before Bob passed, one of his great prides was that he actually had this program in every country in the world. So Mohammed Sabri is a very humble man, but we are in the company of a master. He is an executive sales leadership with for teaching it, coaching it for over 30 years. He's the founder of his own company called Quantum Results. He is a mentor and investor at Labiba. Am I saying that correct?
Yeah, that's
and
correct.
He's the very proud father of, is it 3 children?
4 children.
4 children, 2 sons who are medical doctors in the United States. And he will often tell the story of how using this material really helped him make sure that his kids not only got to the States, but succeeded. He taught them what we're going to be looking at tonight. So this is what we're going to cover. Gratitude. Gratitude to me is the great elixir of the human mind, of the human soul. There is no better medicine. And it's easy to be grateful when the going is good. But I want you to remember that the real vibration, the real beauty of gratitude, especially as we're developing our mental strength, is, sometimes when we're having a struggle, or sometimes we're faced with something that's tough. That's when you sit down and you say, okay, wait a minute, and you make a list of what you're grateful for. We encourage that. Many of you know this. Many of you are probably keeping a gratitude journal. We encourage this all the time. We're going to talk tonight about the power of thoughts. It's just astonishing. Henry Ford said, Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Whatever you think is what you will create. Bob Proctor, Walt Disney, I think, said it first, if you can see it in your mind, you can create it. Thoughts do become things. And we're going to talk tonight about how important it is to really mind the thoughts that we're having. Because as Henry Ford was right, if I say I can't do it, then the universe is going to say you're right. But if you think, no, I can do this, then the universe is going to say you're right. Whatever it is that you put into that thinking substance, that's the way your life is going to go. Habits, also known as our dear good old paradigms. You know, probably 95 or 96% of the actions we take are based on habitual thinking and habitual actions. We're going to talk about that tonight. We're going to talk about how can we shift those paradigms. And it's all to do with the subconscious mind. So we're in the next 90 minutes, this is what we're going to look at. Then your mental strength, because that's what you're all here for. And then we will end this evening with a really good idea, a roadmap for success. And for this program that we want to talk to you about does indeed give you a foolproof roadmap to success. And it really is. It is based on physics. It is based on the law of vibration. Many people think it's about the law of attraction. The law of attraction is good, but that's the secondary law. The real law is the law of vibration. And so all of these things contribute to the vibrational frequency that you are on. So if you want to succeed, if you want to have a life that you love, you're going to have to build some mental strength. As we've all done in this program, we're all capable of it. So the first thing that we really suggest is just be quiet for at least 5 minutes a day and just ask for some guidance. And remind yourself of all of the things. I mean, you know, we get going in this busy life. And if you ever think about the magnificence of this planet that we live on, the magnificence of just being alive, even if we're a little in a struggle, there's still something to be beautifully grateful for. Even in our hardest times, especially in our hardest times, this is when you want to say at least 10 things for which you are grateful. And you know, the hard part sometimes can be to send your love and your gratitude to those who are bothering you. Because it's so easy when people say things or do things to let them get inside us, and then we get the loop going. How could they do that? How dare they? And we get all indignant. And it's really important to stop that. Control your thoughts, control your inner environment. Send them some love, forgive them. Forgive them just means to let go. Just work hard. This is what I mean. This doesn't come easy. We have to work on it. We have to study. This is how we get the understanding and everything. Just like when I was a skater and I trained for the Olympics, 1972. So I really am an old gal now. But you know, there's that saying that to reach success, it takes about 10,000 hours of study, of practice or study. And I don't know, you don't need 10,000 hours to change your paradigms, but there's something about showing up every day to train. So I want you to be thinking of yourselves as athletes in the mind. These are muscles. Confidence is a muscle. Gratitude is a muscle. Positive thinking is a muscle. You can't run a marathon if you decide tonight and you've never run before. You cannot run that marathon tomorrow. Muhammad can tell you he runs marathons. You have to train. So I want you to think about that.
Paddy, if you allow me, yeah, on the gratitude, if you can go back. This gratitude list, when we talk to our clients, we teach them every day in the morning, first thing you do that gratitude list. But I really advise everyone, if you have a bad day during the day, if you're running with a conflicts with others, use this daily gratitude list. I remember one of my clients, she is really good. And one time she called me at, I think, 11:30. I mean, all things are going wrong in the work. They're fighting, they're shouting. And she said, please give me some small tips that I can get things in control. I see everything. I said, do you have 15 minutes to go outside the office? She said, yes. I said, go and find a coffee shop. So, and once you reach there, I want you to sit, get a piece of paper and write 10 good things in your life about your partner, about your kids, about maybe you're walking, you're happy, anything that comes in your mind. Then after that, you can call me. After an hour, she called me. She said, there is nothing at all. It's amazing that exercise, how calm down. It's like doing a reset. And I went fresh back to the office like nothing happened. I got in control of my mental strength to start working the way I wanted as a professional. So I really recommend that gratitude is not only in the morning. Any way during the day you had a bad day, just sit aside, relax, write down what things come to your mind, anything you're grateful for. It could be that cup of coffee, or could be that garden you're looking outside, whatever comes to your mind, just be grateful. You will see how things will be totally shift in your mind and your feelings that will help you to continue your day. Thank you.
You know, also, just as you're going to sleep at night, this is another beautiful practice. If just before you drop off, when you're in that stage where you're just moving towards sleep, if you just close your eyes and you think about all that happened in the day that you're grateful for, even if it was a tough day, if you can just train your mind, because it really is like a magic bullet. That's why it's like an elixir. It's like a medicine for the soul, for the heart, for the mind. So none of us can say enough about gratitude. And it is really the first thing that we all learn to practice in this program. So let's go on. Your mind is it's going to be in one or two. It's going to be in a confused state, or it's going to be in an orderly state. It's going to be in one or the other, because it cannot be in both at the same time. You cannot be in confusion, anger, whatever the emotion is, and be orderly. It's not possible. So you're confused, doubt, worry. I saw something a few days ago that worry, because my mama was a worrier and she taught me, she was also a warrior, but she was really a worrier. And she taught me how to worry. And I've had a dream since she passed away where she came to me and she said, if there was one thing I could do over, dear, it would to teach you not to worry so much. And I read the other day something I thought was really wonderful. Worrying is like praying for what you don't want. That's the frequency or the vibration of worrying. Oh, how's this going to work? What if I don't? What if you're basically, in terms of the physics of it all and the energy of it all, you're really setting it up. You're broadcasting the message of doubt, of fear, of confusion. So again, we all have these tendencies, but this is the work where we can really learn to develop beyond that and to believe in ourselves. So we call this the stick person. And whenever you study anything with Bob Proctor, you're always going to learn about the stick person. This was originally created in the late 1930s by, was it Dr. Thurman? I forget his last name. Anyway, a brilliant man who made a very interesting point. He said, the mind has never been seen. They can cut up your head and do brain surgery. They can do heart surgery. They can do everything, but nobody has ever seen the mind. And this is what blew my mind about this, is because the mind is an activity. It's not a thing. So I really want you to think about that. The brain is something, but we're not talking about the brain. The mind is in everywhere in your body. It's the thoughts you have create feelings. This is all part of the mind. So let's take a look at this. On this negative, what we're calling the negative, ignorance. On the positive, it's knowledge. The negatives, on the ignorant side, we're kind of confused. Whereas on the knowledge side, when we study, we begin to understand ourselves. We begin to understand more who we are, what our purpose is. Things get a little bit more orderly, and you begin to realize you can cross this line rather easily, because all day, every day, information is coming into our conscious mind. That's the part right in here, the top half of that circle. It's the conscious mind. And all day long, if you watch the news, if you listen to the radio, if you whatever, it's all this stuff is coming into your mind at all times. And we have a choice in the conscious mind. We can either accept what comes in or we can reject it. It's very important when you're building your mental strategy, your mental strength, because you start thinking thoughts. And it's so easy for human beings to start thinking, then the thought starts looping, and before you know it, that's all you can think about. And it feels like it's not a choice, but guess what, my dear friends? It's a choice. And we're going to teach you today some basics on how to go from this side, the confused side, over to the orderly side. So let's look at these again. Oh, did I go too fast there? Mohammed, did I miss something there? Sorry, this is
No,
Mohammed.
yeah, you
No, that's good.
continue.
Over there, I'm thinking of the next one. Sorry.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't know if you have not read Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. To me, I think that this should be mandatory reading. They should be reading it in high school, because I don't know if you know his story. He was a psychiatrist. He was put in a concentration camp during World War II. And rather than falling victim, as many people around him were dying with what was going on and with the news and losing their family, he realized that no matter what circumstance that you are in, you always have the very last of the human freedoms. And that is to choose your attitude. This book is one of the most compelling stories. You know, people were told that their wives were dead and they lost their families, and they just died shortly thereafter. But Frankl, being a psychiatrist of quite some renown, instead of falling victim, as I say, he studied all these people who were interned in the camps with him. It's a magnificent read. This is one of the most profound statements. And again, it's choice, you see. Sometimes it's easy when people do us wrong. It's easy to fall into how could they? How could they do that? And if we're not careful, we can very easily fall into victim mode. And we must remember that we choose. This is the last freedom that we have. This is perhaps the most important freedom. Nobody makes you think. You are the thinker of your thoughts. We are all the thinkers of our thoughts. I learned that in Buddhism a long time ago, and it's absolutely true. And it's we who make that choice. So I want you to carry that nugget with you. And if you have not read this book, I can't recommend it enough. It's one of the most profound books I've ever read. So let's go back to our stick person, okay? So we got the confused side. This is where the worry and the doubt is. This is where the fear comes in. We've all felt it. This is where the anxiety comes in. You're trying to sleep at night. You're worried about the bills. You're worried about an issue. You're worried about the company. You're worried about your relationships, whatever it is, your kids, whatever it is. We lie there, we stew. We get suppressed. We begin to suppress that anxiety because we have to cope in the day. And before you know it, we're getting depressed because whatever we impress in our mind must be expressed. When it comes into us, it's got to come out through us. And after a while, we become diseased. Go to the other side of the coin now, and disintegration, because energy, as Bob always says, energy, which is what we are, either creates or it disintegrates. Energy is never passive. It's never neutral. Our energy is either moving up or it's moving down. And we make that choice. And sometimes it's tough because sometimes life is hard. And sometimes we don't want to be strong, but we have to be strong. It's our choice. That's why I think the Frankl book is so important, because if you can be sitting in Auschwitz, I think it was, and facing that and losing your family and still know that you have a choice. I mean, I just think, wow, you know, that took some mental courage. So knowledge, we study, we read, we study ourselves, we examine ourselves, we think about our mind, we think about what thoughts are we feeding ourselves, because that's how we begin to understand not only life, but ourselves. Muhammad often makes a comment when we're working in these sessions where he says, you think you know yourself, but trust me, you don't really know yourself. And it's actually true. We don't know ourselves until we really do a deep dive into what makes us tick. What activity is that mind doing? What thoughts are we generating that are causing feelings, that are causing actions, that are leading to our results? when we study and when we understand and we begin to believe, we develop faith, not only faith in the universe or your idea of God, the creator, but we also establish faith in ourselves. This ability to believe. And before you know it, we move into what is called praxis, which is where we begin to integrate our belief in ourselves and in the universe with the way we act. This is how you know you're beginning to build mental strength. And you know, everybody can do this. You don't have to be smart. You don't have to be a PhD. You just have to think in a certain way and do things in a certain way. This leads to a sense of well-being. You know, every time you have a thought, it has a corresponding feeling that goes into your body. I'm no good. I can't do it. I mean, even when I say that, my posture changes as opposed to when I can do this. I got this. I can do this. Everything changes. The body language changes. Why? Because the vibration and the feeling that's going through my body from this conscious thought picks up the energy. And when I believe I can, I start to feel well and I take different actions and my results change. Anything that we impress upon our minds, especially into the subconscious mind, must be expressed. Or you can hold on to it, suppress it, you end up depressed, you end up disintegrating. But in some way, even through disease or depression, that is going to be expressed because depression is a form of expression. When you start to believe in yourself, when you start to really develop this mental strength that we're talking about, everything starts to accelerate. Things start to happen faster and faster. And before you know it, it's true what they say, if you see it, you can in fact create it. It's been proven over and over again. This is a scientific, tried and true, tested method, and it works. And instead of disease, you're living this life that you love. And you find that you're living at ease. Challenges still come. I mean, come on, we're not going to try to tell you that you studied this and all of a sudden life is just going to be a bowl of cherries, because that's not true. You're going to have to use this every day, all the time. Mohammed, is there anything that you'd like to add here?
Yeah, can you just show the ignorance side? Then I'll come to the knowledge, because, yeah, like this one. So, for example, you had a new job opportunity to change a job. Then you need to make a choice in a way that if you kept it, oh, I want to move, I don't want to move, I want to move, don't want to move, because you're not sure how successful that one. And so there is a lot of negative thoughts comes to you. So what happens with you if you let that idea stir in your mind? Worry and doubt, then a fear, how I'm going to get out of my comfort zone. Oh no, I will be failure. How maybe it's not secure job, blah, blah. And if you let it stay more, then you will see you become an anxiety, suppressed, depressed. So all the things, bad things happens. So immediately what normally I do, if I don't feel comfortable about any idea, let's say I want to change a job, I know I'm in ignorance state. That means there's something I don't know much about it. So what I need to do, like Paddy said, I need to study in order to understand, evaluate that new opportunity. Would it be good? How much change? Is it helping me in my growth, in my goals? Then the more you study and gather information, the more you start building confidence and faith in yourself. So you will be relaxed, well-being, and you start expressing and taking steps forward and so on. So it's back to the choice where you want to be. So this is how it will help you really to start choosing and picking up which thoughts you wanted to grow within yourself. Thank you.
What I want to tell you too is this part up here, if you can see where I'm moving the cursor, the conscious mind. This, the subconscious mind. This, the body. Thurman Fleet, Dr. Thurman Fleet, that was the man's name who first came up with this in the 1930s. We're going to go a little bit more into detail as we go, because it's really important that we understand this. I'm going to turn it over now to my dear colleague and friend Mohammed, because this is a very interesting story about the power of thoughts. Go ahead, Mohammed.
Thank you, Paddy. Now, the more I elaborate about the power of thoughts, this is so sensitive that people should really deeply understand how effective your thoughts. Because if you lift any idea and start thinking more about it, so you need to make sure, is it taking you downhill or uphill? Does it help you or not? So if you let it and you start more believing it, either positive or negative, at the end, it will manifest and it will happen. Your mind, your subconscious mind doesn't care if it is good for you or not. So the stories goes to last century, 1950s around. There was a guy who was delivering frozen food to different grocery stores around his area in the US. One time he was parking next in the one grocery store, and he went inside the container. Unfortunately, as he went inside, the door was locked. As he was collecting some food that was trying to get out, he could not. He was shouting, knocking on the door, nobody heard him. It's like a radio silence. So he took a side in that deep container. I want you to imagine that part. You're sitting, I don't want you, because I don't want you to take the same trend that that guy, but he was sitting in the corner and he started feeling cold. So he started writing some comments on the wall from inside. He put the first one, and people who tell the story, they found out what is written. I'm feeling cold. Then below it, it is getting too cold. It is freezing. I'm not sure I will survive. I'm thinking I'm going to die. This is what was read. Unfortunately, after 3 days, they found that person, and he was passed away from a mental stroke. So they did some investigation, and what is shocking for them, that this truck, for the last 6 months, the freezing, the cooling is not working at all. It wasn't working. There was a malfunction, doesn't work. So the cold he was getting mainly from the frozen food. And if he stays for another couple of hours, everything will be melted and it will become like the temperature outside. So it shouldn't be a problem. But how he started believing an idea. And this is why I said, you need to watch about the idea you are entertaining. That guy, he was entertaining that idea. And it started growing in the negative side rather than helping him. No, it will be temporary. Someone will come to me. No, I'm sure someone will hear me. People will be asking about it in a way that it is helping. No, he went in the other side, and that's what happens to him. And this is when we talk about the power of thoughts and the importance you start really watching your thoughts. This will be helpful for you for anything in your life, including your professional life, your personal life.
I think we all know there's stories of, when a doctor tells a patient that, they have 6 months to live. And many times the person dies within 6 months. And yet if you listen to cancer doctors like Dr. Bernie Siegel, who is a renowned oncologist in the United States, he never says that to his patients. And when they come to him and say, I've only got 6 months to live, he said, well, show us the proof. So much of it. I mean, maybe it's true, but a lot of times by changing the thoughts, because as we talked about a few minutes ago, when we move into that positive side, we become at ease. There are countless stories of people who have been told that they're going to die and they change the way they think. Mr. Norman Cousins was another one who's a very well-known. He wrote The Anatomy of a Disease. He was diagnosed with a very serious, debilitating illness, and they didn't give him long to live. And he quit his high-powered job put himself in a hotel room with all of the old funny videos that he used to love, Marx Brothers and all those old comedians. And for 6 months, that's what he did. And he lived a long life and he wrote about it. So the power of your thoughts, you know, what is going on in our mind, the energy of our thinking is beyond anything that we can imagine. And the power of our mind is limitless. And so we really, you know, we really want to remember this story, and we really want to be considerate of what are we thinking. This young man, I don't know much about this young man, except I knew he was the co-founder of Reddit. You see, he died at a very young age. He went on to say that he had a lot of illnesses. Doesn't talk about it a lot for a variety of reasons. He felt ashamed to have an illness because it sounds absurd. And there is a terrible stigma around being ill. What many people don't know about me, you have to be a very dear friend to know that I live with a debilitating condition of the central nervous system. And I can tell you, it's called an invisible illness. You look at me, you wouldn't know. Every once in a while, you might notice that I limp, because if it's bad, I have a bit of a trouble walking. But I know exactly what he's talking about. And I'm going to tell you that these principles are what I used to get from doctors who said, you're never going to work again a day in your life. This was 25 years ago. You just have to accept the fact that this is what's going on. You will never be employable. You're going to have to give in to this life of living on a handicap pension. And I just couldn't buy it. I did, because there was something inside me that said, if I believe that, I'm going to be in trouble. And there are many people on this call who know me because I have been their coach or I have been their friend, and they have seen me. And I don't talk about it much because there is a bit of a stigma. But in this context, I don't mind to bring it up, because it's important that we realize that the mind, you know, how did I get from being differently abled is what I like to call it, was when I realized that the adjustment of mind. I had a Qigong teacher from the old Chinese method of teaching how to move your energy. And he said to me 2 things that apply to what we're learning tonight. You must say to yourself all the time, this is easy, I can do it. And the other thing he said is that if you want to start to feel good, you need to stop thinking about yourself and you need to go out and do good things for other people. And I followed those 2 things. And I have, at the same time, I had been studying and I was studying with Bob Proctor. So it all came together. See, it's not just some new age philosophy. This comes from the ancient Chinese medicine, prana and yoga. So many psychologists will tell you, if you want to get up and get moving, you must stop thinking this way. This is easy, I can do it. And be kind and be generous, and always try to leave people with a feeling of increase, because this raises your energy. When you raise your energy, you raise your vibration, and that's when the physics all starts to happen. Oh, how did I hit the wrong button? I'm very sorry there. I'm going away, having a time of my life, and I hit the stop share. I'm very sorry. Yeah. So these are some really interesting statistics. Now, these are about entrepreneurs, but I don't think that they apply only to entrepreneurs, but they report a lifetime history, 30% of them with depression. 29% have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. There's a lot of pressure being an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur for 50 years. I got to tell you one thing, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you got to know how to fail. You got to know how to fall. You got to know how to love yourself. Many of them, there's substance use in my part of the world, in North America, and in the Western world, drug addiction, of course, alcoholism, more so than what you see here in the Middle East, although they still have these problems here. 11% have bipolar diagnosis. Because I can tell you, you know, when many of you on this call, I'm sure, are entrepreneurs. People say, oh, being an entrepreneur is easy because you get to be your own boss and you get to work when you want. No, you're not your own boss. Your clients are your boss. If their clients don't like what you're doing, your business is in trouble. You lie awake at night and there is no CEO but you to deal with the problem. It's very, very difficult. And if you are an entrepreneur, this mental strength is so important. But in life too, because life is difficult. It's not easy. It's not easy being a human. You know, we are spiritual beings having a human existence. And I said to Muhammad earlier, you know, I think the spirits are a lot nicer than a lot of people, because the spirits are more, they're freer and they're at a higher vibration, whereas we people down here on this earth are just struggling to get by, many of us, because that's the attitude. So remember again, these beautiful words of Viktor Frankl. And I always think if they were good enough for him, boy, oh boy, they're good enough for me. No matter the circumstance, you always have the last of the human freedoms to choose your attitude. It's up to each and every one of us. We are sovereign nations unto ourselves. It is up to us to do our own thinking. It is up to us to make sure that we manage our internal environment. One thing that Bob always said that just moved me so much, because, you know, he said our spiritual DNA is perfect. And we need to go deep inside. This is the beauty of this study, you see, because when we're worrying, it's because we're looking to the outside for our answers, for our courage, for our strength. But if we can remember that our spiritual DNA, what we have been given by this great creator, is perfect. We are perfect just the way we are. We can let go of a lot of this stress and this habitual thinking, because it's getting us in trouble. You look at the state of the world right now. If we could just get thinking into results and more positive attitude, we'd be living in a beautiful world. So here's the thing, right? 2 things that you must know about if you want to achieve your goal: where you are and where you're going. And it's so simple and so obvious. Here you are over here, and you got this big goal, this big dream, and it's over there. It's out of your reach a little bit, because a good goal should be out of your reach. A goal isn't something that you already know how to do or that you've done before. That's not a goal. That's just doing another little task. A goal isn't something that when I get the money and when I get this and I get this in place, then it's no, no, no. Aristotle said that the essence of the man, and I know he meant woman, but it was way back when they didn't use that language. The essence of man is to search for something greater than himself, something that will grow himself. So in order for, goals are not just because I want a new house. Goals are because there's something inside of every human being that wants to grow into something bigger and better than what they are when they're down here where we are. So we have these goals. And it's so easy. I'm just going to do it. Do you know 95 to 96% of the people on this planet never achieve their goals? They're going along, they're giving it their best shot, and boom, they don't. Something, which we're going to talk about in a second, comes along. So if it's so easy, why are so many of us stuck? There's the big goal. That's where we want to go with all our heart and soul. We tell people this is what we're going to do. And then boom, we stay stuck where we are. 95% of the world's population is down here, stuck. Big dreams, big desires, big heart, but not going anywhere. Why? Because of paradigms. Paradigms, those little habitual ways of thinking. For the school teacher that said you're not very smart, for the brother that called you an idiot, for the somebody who said you can't do that, you're a dreamer. All of the, when we turn on the news and there's another war and there's another famine and there's another this and another that, and it just comes into our mind all the time. And if we're not vigilant, it becomes the way in which we think. We operate from habitual thoughts that lead to habitual actions that take us to the same old results. So if you don't like the results you're getting, you got to look at, what are you doing? What habits are you using? Paradigms. Some people, it's about time management. Oh, so many people say to Muhammad and me, yeah, I got a problem with time management. You can't manage time. Everybody's got 24 hours in the day. You manage your projects. Don't worry about the time. What are you going to do in the time? Confidence. People don't have confidence. They don't believe in themselves. Why? Because they got this paradigm going on that you're not worthy. Oh, I can't do that. I don't know. You know, when I was in ninth grade, I had a teacher. I had been sick and I'd spent a number of months in the hospital. And I had a teacher who, she was a nun. She was the principal of our school. And she did not like me because she didn't like my brother or my sister before me. Because, you know, I don't know. I don't know why. I never asked her why, because I was too shy. But here I am with this low, deep voice. And in her school, all 75 of us kids in grade 9 had to join the glee club, the singing club. And she was convinced that we were all going to go on stage and we were going to sing Climb Every Mountain from The Sound of Music, which you have to be like an opera singer to sing up there. And she put me in with all the sopranos. I can't get up there. I never could get up there. I can't even begin to try to get up there now. And you know, I was 14. What a terrible age to do this to a child. She stopped, tap, 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 stop class, stop. Can we all agree that Paddy has just a terrible voice and perhaps she should just move her lips? Do you know, I always wanted to sing. It was not until I was in my mid-50s that somebody said to me, "You've got a great voice, you should sing." I can't sing. And I told them the story. Friend of mine is a jazz singer in Vancouver and she was giving classes. And so I thought, okay, I'm just going to do it. I can't let that old nun's been dead for a long time. And she's still in my head telling me I can't do this. And so I joined. And Colleen, the teacher, said, "Paddy, that beautiful alto voice. I've been looking for somebody with an alto voice for my women's choir. Doesn't Paddy have a beautiful voice?" Boom. Changed everything. For 50 years or 45 years, I had carried around a paradigm based on what some teacher told me, because the emotion, I was horrified when and I believed it until I was in my mid-50s. This also affected my self-esteem. We all have this. Nobody gets through life without somebody somewhere telling you you're not enough, you're no good, you could do this better, you're a big dreamer, it's never going to work, what are you thinking, who do you think you are? We all have procrastination. I mean, I used to think, why do today what I can put off till tomorrow? I was a great procrastinator. Don't get anything done. These all go together, you know. Procrastination is time management, it's confidence, it's self-esteem. They're all paradigms. They're all things that we tell each other, or tell ourselves rather. You know, 85% of who we talk to is ourselves. And about that same amount of self-talk, 85% is negative. Power of your thoughts. And finally, controlled by surroundings. People say you can't do that. People do something to hurt you. They lie, they cheat, they do something that breaks your heart, breaks your spirit. And if you're like most humans, you get caught in the thinking, how could that mean? That's so mad, how could they do? And these are the things, others people's opinions. These are the things that we have got to take control of if we're going to build our mental strength. We must believe in ourselves. And I'm going to tell you, Dr. Wayne Dyer said very well, we do not fix our weaknesses by focusing on them. We fix our weaknesses by focusing on our strengths. That's one of the best ways to change your paradigm. So when you get into this, oh, I can't do it. This is easy, I can do it. Procrastination. And I'm going to do it now because I'll feel really good when I do it now. It's just self-talk. You can talk your way into changing that habitual way of chatting to yourself. Mohammed, would you like anything to contribute?
I think you covered very well. Paradigm is, I call it sometimes, is a secret. If you understand what you're not doing, you always have big dreams. You decided, I want to go for a diet. You start tomorrow, serious, 2 days, then you're back to normal. So what the heck happens? Because this is a power of your belief. You cannot overcome it. You've been doing things for 10 years, and within one day you want to change it. You need to understand this is the thing is holding you back from achieving anything. Anything you want to achieve, if you're not able, you need to find out what the heck is that paradigm which paradigm is really holding me back. So I need to take more identified and start developing a new ones to help me really to move ahead and proceed in the goal I'm trying to achieve. Yeah, thank you.
You know, in all my years of coaching too, I can tell you that it is very true that most of us do not achieve our goals for this very reason. And, you know, for me, paradigms are like stealth bombers. You know, they fly in just below the radar and you don't really know they're there. And then boom, it all happens. And it's a perfect example of going on a diet. Or, you know, we just had New Year's and, you know, they sell you these gym memberships knowing full well that in 3 weeks the gym will be empty. Because people have this self-talk that we're not even aware of. It's so habitual. It's like getting up in the morning and putting on the coffee. You don't, or whatever it is that you do, you don't really think about it, it's just habit. You know, I get up, I open up the curtains, I put on the kettle, I go into the bathroom. That's habit. Been doing that for as long as I can remember. And sometimes I think I should change it up. And then I forget that I'm going to change it up. It's just something that we do. But we do. We are the thinkers of our thoughts. It's our mind, and it's not a thing. It's an activity. So you can change the activity. So let's look a little bit more deeply into this stick person. We got the conscious mind. We got the subconscious mind. We got the body. The conscious mind is the thinking mind. The subconscious mind, as you see, will be the feeling mind, and the body reacts to the feelings. So we all have our 5 senses: the see, the hear, the smell, the taste, and the touch. We all have those. But as Bob used to say, I got 2 little dogs sitting right over here. They have the same 5 senses. So it's not enough anymore just to go on that. That's external. I see it. You know, Wayne Dyer would say, no, you don't see it when you believe it. You believe it when you see it. It's perception, right? These, we all have them, and unfortunately, this is where we get this habit coming from, because we just rely on these 5 things. So let's look at it. The conscious mind is the thinking mind. It's the educated mind. Nothing wrong with it. It's the intellect. The subconscious mind is the emotional mind. I feel great. In Chinese medicine, just below the belly button is called the lower dantian, and that's the center of your energy in your body. So when I say I feel great, whoo, I feel this energy come right from my belly. It's called the gut feeling. When I say I can't do this, I feel it right there in my belly. I can't do this. It's the emotional mind. Anything that we feed that subconscious mind comes as an emotion. And remember, whatever we impress will be expressed. You can't, it's either going to come out in disease, depression, or you're going to flip it and it's going to come out in at ease and wellness and moving forward. With the conscious mind, we can choose. We can accept or reject. You read something, you say, oh, that's garbage. I don't believe that. You read something, you say, oh, this is life-changing, amazing. That's the conscious mind. This is where everything originates. Your dreams, your thought, they originate up here in the conscious mind. But the subconscious mind, it's a faithful servant. Whatever you feed it, it's going to accept it. And it's going to give you the feeling, I can't do it. You're right. I can't do it. This is fabulous. I can do it. You're right. This is fabulous. You can do it. The subconscious mind will not be a critic or a judge. You give it, whatever you give, that's what you're going to get. That's what Henry Ford said when if you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're right. It cannot reject. The subconscious mind will not say that's a stupid idea. The conscious mind will. But if you let this filter down into the subconscious mind, the subconscious mind's going to say, yep, okay. It cannot determine the difference between what is real or what is imagined. Now, when my days when I trained as a figure skater, you know, I don't know if many of you are familiar with figure skating. They've just had the Olympics and now girls are doing quadruples and it's just going so high, it's unbelievable. But even way back there in the 60s, where we weren't doing quadruples, I can tell you, it was beyond our imagination. We couldn't see it yet. But before we did learned a difficult move, we had to sit and close our eyes and we had to keep seeing us doing it until we would get the feeling. And so in my day, the double Lutz was the really hard one. And I was terrified to do it for years. I was terrified, but I had to do it because I was trying to get to the Olympics. You got to have it, right? And I can still close my eyes and I can feel now what that jump feels like. But we never tried those difficult things until we had imagined it, because we knew that the nervous system could not tell the difference between what I was imagining and the actual thing. And by imagining it and imprinting it into my subconscious mind, I began to get the feeling. And my nervous system informed my whole body as to exactly how to do that very difficult jump. Of course, now the men are doing quadruples. The women aren't yet, but the men are. I mean, as I say, it was just completely beyond our imagination in those days. But this is the beauty. You've got to remember this. So if you're somebody that gets into bed at night and watches the news, or you're watching some Netflix where they're just killing people right, left, and center, your mind, your subconscious mind isn't going, well, that's just a movie, don't worry. No. Your subconscious mind is going, well, this is a bad world. This is a bad situation. This is not good. So this is, again, how you take control and build that mental strength. What are you doing? Just remember that beautiful subconscious mind, which is also the mind that makes you breathe and build your body up. I mean, it's all completely a mystery in many ways. There's a wonderful book by Joseph Murray called The Power of the Subconscious Mind. And I cannot recommend that book enough. It's right up there with Viktor Frankl. In some ways, it's even more important because it really gets you understanding this faithful servant that will never argue with you. Your good old subconscious mind. Remember, it's the feeling mind. Remember, those feelings go down into the body. Though that when the body feels good, it moves in that way. When the body feels depressed, you can't do it. That's the way it moves. And that movement will bring your results. If you don't like your results, you got to look at what's going on in your subconscious mind. How do you know? Because of the way you feel. 96% of results, because we operate on autopilot. The subconscious mind, if we feed it with these negative thoughts, which very easy, remember we are programmed. Years ago, I was at a Bob Proctor seminar in Las Vegas or Los Angeles, I don't remember where. And I remember he had a big, because it was before all this technology, and he had this big whiteboard, right? And he was about 2,000 people in the audience. He's going, 9 plus 3 is 12. And he did all these really simple, like grade 1, grade 2 arithmetic. And then the last one, 8 plus 6 is 15. 2,000 people shouted out, you got it wrong. And he turned around, he said, isn't that interesting? I did all these right, you didn't say a word. I made one mistake and 2,000 of you are jumping at me to say I got it wrong. We are programmed. We must be aware that the human being, it's just our way of wanting to survive, right? The mind will take an easy route, will tell you don't do it because it doesn't want you to risk. And we are just programmed to say, I don't think so. But I really want you to think about this, because the reason why we do not achieve our goals is because we have this habitual, well, Mother Marie Leo said, I can't sing. Well, this person said, who do you think you are? It's subconscious. We're not thinking of it. And it's either ruining our dreams or it's making our dreams. The choice is yours. So there it is. You see, that subconscious mind is just where all those lovely, persnickety little paradigms live. Just yap, 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 all the time. You can't do it. Who do you? That's a stupid idea. You haven't got enough money. Well, yeah, all the time. Just all the time. Until we say, wait a second, back up. This is easy. I can do this. And it's just change your mind. Change your mind, change your life. That's what they say. Bob's got a great book, Change Paradigms, Change Your Life. It sounds hard. These paradigms will come up. They'll kick you right in the backside when you just least expect them. But you just have to accept it. It's just part of being human. It's part of our journey. It's part of our growth. So the difference between these 5 senses are these beautiful mental muscles that we have. Imagination. I mean, Einstein said that there's nothing greater in the world than the imagination. Do you know, Bob always says, you think of the Wright brothers who got the first airplanes up in the air, they were just bicycle mechanics. They saw something. They believed. They had imagination. They got the airplane up in the air. Thomas Edison, the light bulb. Marconi, the wireless, the radio. The internet has always been here. We just didn't have the awareness or the understanding or the confidence, the imagination that we could do it. Because imagination is great when you're a little kid, but if you're an adult and oh, there she is dreaming again. Oh, shall we got her head in the clouds? No, imagination is one of the greatest tools we have. Our intuition. How many times do you get a gut feeling? There's that gut again, you see, and you don't act on it. And sure enough, you were right. And you go, why didn't I do it? Trust that intuition. Build it. You can build it like a muscle. When you get a feeling, try it out. Give it the benefit of the doubt. Try it out. Will, not willpower. Will, the ability just to stick, concentrate. This takes development. Your memory, your reasoning. A lot of what we learn here is not reasonable because we have to use our illogical mind, because the logical mind is in these 5 senses up top. We got to go deeper. And perception. So let's look at them. Perception's our point of view. Bob always gives us this article. You put, you want to change your perception. So you write down or you draw something and you put it on your desk, and then you move over to this side of the desk, and then you move to the other side of the desk, and you keep looking at it from different angles. Changing your perception is one of the best ways to grow your mental muscles, your mental strength. Imagination, we're adults. We can have fantasies, we can have dreams, we can create big ideas. We don't have to stop just because we're not 6 anymore. All of these computers that we're using, Zoom, this is somebody in somebody's imagination. Somebody said, could you imagine? And here we are. We got to just keep that faculty alive. We tend to let it go to sleep. Our intuition, many people say, this is when the Great Spirit, when God is talking to you, it picks up on vibrations. And if we're paying attention to it, it translates those vibrations. Sometimes when you have a feeling and it's in your belly, just say, wait a second, is this the frequency that I want? Because it's your intuition is telling you something. When you get that feeling in your gut that, or you get it like, wow, this is a great idea. Either way, is it the frequency? Is it the vibration? Is it the energy that you want to be in? Listen to your belly. Will, not willpower. Will gives you the ability to focus and to concentrate. Bob always says, there's 2 ways to develop your will. First, you can get a candle and light the candle and stare at the flame. It's very hard to do because your mind wanders, and next thing you know, you're looking over there and you're looking and you're bringing out your phone. Go back to the candle. Or across from your desk, put a dot on the wall and see how long can you stare at that dot. These are all muscles. They can be developed, just like if you want to be a figure skater, just like if you want to run a marathon. All of them can be developed. Memory is the ability to store and remember information. And you know what I find that we do? We tend to remember the not so good stuff. And we really need to be focusing on the good stuff, on the times when I succeeded, on the happy times, and go back into that belly and feel how that feels. And notice when I was feeling that way, what were my results? But we tend to go, oh, yeah, I remember when you did that to me. That was the worst thing that ever happened to me. And before you know it, there's our whole energy, and we all do it. We're just humans. And the mind is programmed to do it. We must take control. We must build it. And reason, the ability to think. Now, a lot of times what's reasonable doesn't really suit us. Reasonable is often just logic. But as Bob always said, we must use our common illogical thinking. Instead of our commonsensical thinking, we should just practice being illogical. Because if everybody were logical, we wouldn't have airplanes, we wouldn't have internet, we wouldn't have Zoom, we wouldn't have anything. We'd be sitting back there in the good old dark ages. So go out of yourself, go beyond yourself. I don't know if you think of it as going out of yourself or into yourself, but go deep, do it, trust yourself, build these muscles. We are the thinkers of our thoughts, and whatever we think is going to take us to our results. If you don't like your results, you better look at the way you're thinking. I know of what I speak. You still have to deal with this all the time. I'm human. I still could get vexed. I can get annoyed. And then I have to say, wait a second. You're going to let that external thing upset this perfection inside of you? Don't be silly. But it still happens. And I think Bob even said that it would happen to him. Like he's still, right. He died at 87. And there were times he would just get vexed. And then he'd have to say, no, I'm in control here. We are in control. So just to finish up this part on paradigms, and Mohammed, jump in at any time because I'm just like motor mouthing away. And if there's anything you want to say, you just jump in there, okay?
Right. Yeah. You want to
you're
take
good?
it? Yeah, I'm good.
You
Yeah.
can. Why don't you take this one?
All right. This is how it shows sometimes in any situation that changes happens to us, you need to ask yourself, do you react or respond? Because let's say something out of control happens or an accident, God forbid, happens in front of you. How do you handle that situation? Do you immediately become angry or you get yourself in control and try to think differently? So if you can show me the next slide. For example, many people, their behavior, I will call it the autopilot, they're reacting. So there is an accident, immediately he starts jumping, shouting, getting angry, blah, blah. And in a way that it is the situation, the outside result starts controlling his thinking. And by the subconscious mind, his autopilot is the one really controlling. So you will see, and you can tell any changes in a situation, you notice yourself. Do you react or you respond? So the autopilot, like this one, is immediately reacting. So if we go to the next, so you see your current habits is the one controlling your auto responses. Now, and you will find out that many things we're doing, about 96% of your results, you're doing it without thinking because it's an autopilot. You're used to it. Let's say you woke up in the morning, you find out you're now in the middle of a meeting at 10 o'clock in the morning. What the heck? So because you went through that autopilot, you wake up, you go to the bathroom, you brush your teeth, then take a shower, make a coffee, take the car, drive the highway, then reach the office, do a few things, then it is 10 o'clock. So you achieved many things because of this 96%. Now, let's go further responding, and this is where we focus how people need to start using their mental muscles. It's not the saying, and this is when we talk about how you can develop your mental strength, is the active thinking. An accident happens, so normally people who develop that habits, they start really evaluating, okay, there's an accident happens, am I okay? Yeah, that's safe. Okay, the car can be fixed. Nobody was hurt. So I start taking in control of the situation rather than the situation controlling me. And this is when we differentiate between reacting or responding. But this is something, an autopilot where you need to develop. So this is how people do. They look on the results. They don't respond. They use their mental faculties where they analyze, reasoning, perception, and use the others to make choices. So they develop the right habits. So whenever happens something out of control, immediately he's active thinking because he internally starts developing that habit. All right, you can proceed.
And we really have the choice. And if we can remember whether it's an accident, a conflict with somebody, and you have that tendency to react, you can say to yourself, wait a second, I could react like a nuclear reactor, or I could respond. And responsibility means that I have the ability to respond. The choice is ours. We develop our thinking by reminding ourselves that I can choose right now in this situation if I will react and blow up or get angry or get emotional, or will I just chill out? And I have the ability to respond. So let me just respond. And again, these things all take training. This is a really incredible story. This is a terrible tornado that happened in 1985 in Barrie, Ontario. And this is the story of just changing your thinking by saying next. Let me tell you a little bit about it. It's called the 333 story. When this happened, Bob tells the story because he had been giving a seminar just outside of Barrie, which is outside of Toronto. And while he was giving the seminar, this terrible tornado hit Barrie. Many people were killed, and you saw by the picture, just the place was devastated. And on the way back to Toronto, where he lived, he stopped and he was looking at the damage done. And at that moment, unbeknownst to him, there were actually two other Bobs. There were three Bobs involved in this story who were also looking at the devastation done to Barrie. And it was really, I mean, first of all, tornadoes are not that big in Canada. I mean, you get them a lot in the southern United States, but not more and more we're getting them in Canada, but not that much. So these two Bobs who were executives in the radio industry in Canada at that time, and they had a lot of radio stations in Ontario and Quebec, which is in the far eastern part of the country. And they really, the next night afterwards, they went to another seminar now that Bob was giving in Toronto because they really liked his theory and they liked his approach. And so they went and they did a seminar with him. And they went to work after that seminar and they got together with all their staff. And they came up with this idea that they were going to raise $3 million in 3 hours over 3 days, hence the 333. So they got together and they did that good old-fashioned brainstorming. So they said, well, what can we do? Well, we could do radio shows all across Canada. Oh, that's a great idea. No, because these guys only had radio stations in Quebec and Ontario, and there's 10 provinces and 3 territories in Canada. It's a very big country. So no, can't do that. So how can we do it? Well, you see, every time it came up with can't do it, they just said, next, okay. Well, how about if we get in touch with Lloyd Robertson and I forget the chap who was the other main TV anchor for Canadian National News at night. There's 2 main networks at that time. How about if we go to them and we ask them to help us because they wanted to raise $3 million in 3 hours over 3 days. Yes, let's do that. How they could do it. Every time they came up with something that was a great idea but was not doable, instead of talking about, well, that won't work because, they didn't go there. They just said, next. I've been in meetings like this where they're brainstorming, and when it's, you know, in brainstorming, there's no bad ideas. But it's not that they're bad ideas, it's just that they're not feasible. They can't work. So instead of sitting there going, well, that won't work because that just lowers the vibration. That's a kind of negative thinking. Just pass it, go next. This is a really powerful exercise. When we get caught thinking in that wheel of negativity, or I can't do it, or I don't know what I'm doing, or any of that kind of stuff, we can just say next and move it to the next idea. And if the next idea isn't feasible, we just say next and we keep going. These men were able to raise $3 million, which in 1985 was a lot of money, in 3 hours over 3 days, because they only entertained how I can. Now, people make fun of Canadians. They say that we have this can-do attitude, and we are kind of can-do people. We are like that. We're not blamers as a nation for the most part. We are, how can we make this better? And so it was kind of a joke when I read this. I thought, that's a good old can-do. But this is something, you know, how can we change these habitual ways of thinking? Next, say it right out loud. Another thing I learned when I was coming back from disability, differently abled to where I am today, is I put an elastic around my wrist, and I did good old-fashioned cognitive restructuring. Meaning, every time I thought, I'm never going to be able to get rid of these crutches, I'm never going to walk without a cane, snap that little elastic, because they say in cognitive restructuring, if you have a little tiny bit of pain, it's good. And then right away, the pain, not to hurt, but just to wake you up, and right away say, this is easy, I can do it. I can do this next. And it really, this is one of the best ways that I know how to keep ourselves moving in that positive direction, no matter what goes on. Let's not focus on why we can't. There's a bajillion reasons if we think long enough why we can't. Let's just go next and move to why we can. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Mohammed.
Here, to add to what Paddy mentioned, the nice story, these people, the two Bobs, not Bob Proctor, for when they saw the incident, they felt that they have responsibilities to do something. But they don't know what they're going to do. So they started applying those mental muscles, where they came up with using that imagination with an idea, like Paddy mentioned, and they they took a decision. So when they went to the office or the next week, the first week, they get and called all the executive in that company. Hey guys, come to the board meeting. So everyone came and they saw that thing that is shown now, and they did not understand what is going on. So Bob was telling them, which is the president of that radio station, he said, I took a decision that, so he took a decision he believes, but he doesn't know how he's going to do it. And he gave them that brainstorming that I don't want to hear why I cannot. I only want to hear how I can. So when he proposed that idea, because normally this is what happens. And I remember one time I was proposing something, then he make it a bigger idea. Because of my paradigm, autopilot, I said, no. Then immediately I stopped. So this is what happens. People start jumping. They told him, come on, we're hardly making 300,000 a year. You're talking about in 3 days to collect 3 million? Are you crazy? Because this is art. He said, I did not call you to tell me why I cannot. I'm calling you how I can. And the nice thing, when they collected all this information, one of the things that was impossible that to work with other radio stations, because there is a high competition, but they start thinking, and this is how you start changing your perception, using your reasoning, and those mental muscles, they came up with a nice, like a social responsibility all across Canada, where all radio stations were coming at the same time every day for 3 hours, doing a fundraising for 3 days in a row. And at the end, they managed all together to collect that 3 million. So in a way, I use it also for companies when they come up. Don't say why I cannot, just focus. You need to shift your vibration, your thinking, how I can. Then you will see how all the ideas will start coming out from you and your team in order to help you to achieve whatever that goal that you want to achieve.
You know, Mohammed, you've said a couple of times that they had a responsibility, meaning that when they came upon the destruction in Barrie, they could have reacted and gone, oh my gosh, that's terrible, and got in their car and gone home, or they knew they had the ability to respond. And also, I can tell you as a former radio journalist, radio stations, those guys, they'd rather share toothbrushes than share a news story. They do not come together to share. So it's just when you move, see, this is where the physics, isn't it, that comes in. When you move forward in that positive vibration, not focusing on why we can't, but let's just focus on how we can. Let's use our ability to respond. Phenomenal things can happen. And people say, well, it's like it's magic, but it's like magic, but it's not magic. It's just not magic. So how can you start to develop your mental strength? I mean, we've given you a quick glimpse into this phenomenal world that Mohammed and I are involved in. This work has very much changed my life. I come from a family of people who are prone to depression, and depression has always been something that's haunted me. And I know that doing this work has given me an opportunity to look at the world in a way that I never have before. In a totally, I can do this. What is it that I want to do? And let me move in that direction. So how can you start to develop your mental strength? Mohammed, I want you to, want me to
Yeah,
go back?
yeah. Just want to share before coming to this one. What we're going to share right now, this is, as maybe Paddy mentioned at the beginning, I use it on a personal level, or for example, I'll share a personal story for my two sons, because I know how the minds really, you need to get it, you are in control, it's not the outside. So for me, I always, when I work with my two sons, the people who do what's called to apply for the medical, what's called in the medicine in the US, they need to go through certain exams. So these people normally, because they are non-US citizens, they have to go for working for almost 365 days studying. Then they need to pass the exams. Then they need to apply. Then they will take interviews. At that time, it was easy to travel across the US from one state to another. So you can imagine how stressful that situation was. And it come on the first Monday, I think the Monday on this mid of March, they will get an email at 8 o'clock in the morning, just one line, either congratulations, you've been accepted, or sorry, try next year. So imagine all that stressful work, then you receive that emails. Unfortunately, the first year, they both did not manage to get accepted. And I just was leaving them in a way that they become depressed. They don't want to take my calls. I was here in UAE and they were both in Jordan. They don't want to listen. They don't want to talk. I said, come on, I'm helping all the people and I cannot help my family. So I said, after 2 days, when the dust settled, I called them, hey, I'm coming over. Let's have a plan in a way, because you cannot, if you believe you want it, and this is what I asked them. So I went over, traveled, spent the weekend with them, and we started having a plan. And this is how I start working with people. You should have clarity of a goal. Then you start to take actions. The third one, make sure don't listen to others, the naysayers who tell you, you cannot do it. Are you crazy? Who do you think you are? You cannot be accepted. Your grades are not good. Nobody can accept a psychiatry because you are an NUS, and so on, all these. I said, zip it, don't listen to others. And the last one, which is an important to what I'm going to talk next, is about having the right community to help you to grow. Because to be honest, by experience, it is one of the challenging, especially in our current situation and the world. Without a community, you cannot really grow and succeed. And this is how I work. I was their community, their buddies, their accountability partner. And this is when we talk about here, how we can start, how can I change? We have a community, me and Paddy, where we do a group coaching. We take people through a 6 month where we start talking about what we call thinking into results, how you can start developing your goals, to start identifying the paradigms, how you can develop also your mental strength. What are the tools I can use to strengthen my mind and start using my muscles? How can I build my own self-image? So we take them through those, we call it thinking into results, 12 incredible business and mindset lessons, where there is a peer-to-peer support. Me and Paddy, we work with you. And the nice thing I found it, because I do a different type of coaching, the best thing having the community where you have more than one people, 2 or 3, 5, 6, it could be a 10, you will find out people are supporting each other, because every time we come and meet, we'll ask, hey, give me your wins. So people will start sharing what great things happen in their life. So others will be, really? Oh, I did not thought about it. It is working. Yeah, it is. So you will see that energy, that community is, you're seeing all the time, people are lifting you up. So this is what we are proposing is you can join us. Maybe if you can go to the next Paddy, where this is, I call it the roadmap. We use all this mental toolboxes, the thinking into results, where we go through those 12 lessons from goal settings, for identifying your paradigms, where you find out what are the success habits, how to use your mind, then how can you stay in charge and develop your mental muscles, building your self-image, overcoming fears. And this is one of the amazing things. People have great ideas. Maybe Paddy, you mentioned earlier. The moment they want to step and start taking actions, immediately fears comes in and they said, no, forget it. What the heck Paddy is telling me? I want to build my own company. Who does she think? So all that fears. So here, we will be helping you. How can I overcome the fears? It's a scientific approach. There is what's called a process, a psychological process that will help you take you step by step. So you start getting your life in control rather than the outside. So these are those 12 lessons. We take the people in a journey, a nice journey. Me and Paddy supporting all the people, where we meet every 2 weeks. And in between, people can have a 30 minutes laser coaching with us, where we can help them make sure that they're moving in the right direction, developing their mental muscles, plus achieving the goals that they they have in their mind, in their life, either professional, personal. So these are one of the best, to be honest, not because I'm teaching, but it literally had changed my life. And till now, I was telling Paddy maybe before the call, really, I have a other business, which is mainly in chemicals. And this, I'm using it for my other business. Every time I go and visit India, my idea is becoming more and more bigger, that I wasn't thinking. I was in a way short in my goal initially. Then the project is becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. And why not? Yeah, there is no limit unless I am the one who's limiting that I can do it or not. But there is no limitation to what you can achieve. You want to add something, Paddy?
Well, it's interesting. It's psychological, but it's also in many ways neurological, because all of these thoughts create feelings. And this is a neurological response to the way in which you're thinking. So, for example, fear, which, as soon as you start out on something, you're going along and then it hits you like a ton of bricks, because you've got this old paradigm in there and now you're introducing this new one that says, well, wait a second, I think I can do it. And for many years, you've been saying, you can't do this, you don't be ridiculous. And then you bring in this new thought and it changes the way you feel in your body. But, I forget who it was at Jack Canfield who said, I can't remember who, that everything you want is on the other side of that fear. And when you understand that these feelings are not because you're crazy, these feelings are because of the way you're thinking. Fear, I mean, when you get afraid, your heart beats, your mouth goes dry, all those things happen. Those are neurological changes, physiological changes that happen in your body that come from the way in which you're thinking. And so it's psychological, but the transformation that we go through is much, much deeper. And the condition that I have is a condition of the central nervous system. So I know of what I speak, because my central nervous system can catch on fire like a forest fire. And it takes a lot of positive thinking and controlling the way I'm thinking, controlling how am I letting the external environment. I know that the only way that I can really control my so-called illness, I just prefer to call it a condition that I live with, is to really control my thinking. Because when I think this is easy, I can do it, Even if I don't believe it, I keep telling myself enough because repetition, 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 until I begin to believe it. And I can tell you that there's actually a difference in my entire nervous system. And when I can't get on top of that, then my emotions get really tough. When I'm having a really bad bout of my nervous system condition, the emotions start to tumble and I have to pull myself back up, and I can only do it through my thinking. I mean, there's medication, yes, but I try not to take the medication. Sometimes I have to, but even then I still have to do the work. So yes, it's psychological, but when I say it's life-changing and it's game-changing, for me, this comes from a deep, deep place inside of understanding not only what happens to my body when I control the way I think, but how that moves me forward in the world. So why am I not in a wheelchair anymore? Why am I not walking with crutches? Why am I not walking with canes? Why do I only limp every once in a while? Because I adjusted the old mind. And when I adjusted the mind, the central nervous system, which is all connected to the subconscious mind, changed. I changed. And the feelings changed. And then it went into the body in a different way. I didn't have to have those canes. I used to walk with 2 canes. That was not that long ago, 25 years ago. And I believed for a long time, I'm never going to be, this is it. This is it. You're going to die. You're going to never, nobody knows the trouble I've seen, until I understood that the way out of this is to adjust my thinking. So it's not just that this is a really cool program and we love Bob Proctor, may he rest in peace. For me, in my own story, I believe all of this because my body has experienced the healing from this kind of thinking. And sometimes I slip because I'm just human. And then I have to pull myself back up and get my positive thinking and get myself moving again in that proper direction. And before you know it, then the nervous system calms down, the pain subsides, and I'm back. So that's all I want to say about this. It's psychological, but to me, it's also neurological because it affects how we feel, and how we feel is determining how we act, and how we act is what's determining our results. Back to my dear colleague there, Mr. Mohammed.
Thank you, Paddy. Now, if we'll go to the next slide, which is the last one. This is what we had covered today about the gratitude. The last one is, now, if you'd like to get in touch with us, these are our contacts, me and Paddy. Feel free to contact us anytime. We can book a call, we can jump and try to help you to understand to what we are doing. Also, if you have some tips, I know people when they registered, they had put a lot of nice things that I really love to help them, either time management or struggle with anxiety and so on. So these are our contacts. You can reach us anytime. I think we gave a lot of information. And to be honest, this is the tip of the iceberg. There is more and more really things you will learn in that journey, more about yourself. It's not the material we're teaching. You will know yourself better than what you know today. So let's maybe close that one and open the questions, Paddy. So
it's really important that though you can make that, you can connect with us. There's no charge for this. We're here for you. This is what we want to do. Yes, it's the way we make our living, part of it. We both have other businesses, but it's a passion that we have. And so we just want you to know, if you want to call, don't hesitate. Don't go, oh, they're going to try to get me into taking. We're not going to try to get you to do anything. We're just here for you. And we're here to answer your questions. Please take us up on that. And there's Trace. Now, Trace here down in the corner is, we have a community. And so 5 mornings a week, I'm in the 6 a.m. club. Thank goodness, though, I'm in Dubai, so it's at 8 o'clock my time. But for Trace, she's in my 6 a.m. club. 5 mornings a week. We come on 4 of those mornings where we start out and we say what today I'm so happy and grateful for. And then we say what we're happy and grateful for. And then we go study. And then we're all on different chapters, and we're all studying from different parts of different programs. And then we come back and we share our aha moments, and we learn from each other all the time. Never want to miss that club. And then one morning a week, we mastermind. We read the mastermind principles, and we start out with our wins, and then we start out with what our ask is, and we all come in and support each other. And it's, Trace, can you unmute yourself and just make a comment about the importance of that community, not just in friendship, but in the overall support that we give each other?
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thank you so much, Paddy, Mohammed. We hear a lot about you in our 6 a.m. club. It's so great to meet you. And yes, it's quite an amazing community joining the 6 a.m. club, because one, it gets your vibration high for the day, and you learn from everyone, seeing that we are on different lessons, and we share. You have any question or some ahas, or so it's really important to have such a community. I just loved it when you're talking about being in a community. It really heals. It heals. It gets your spirits high. You learn from everybody, and yeah, you just become family. You know. So yeah, that's what I have to say. I mean, it's really great. Thank you.
There's a woman, thank you very much, Trace. There's a woman in our club right now, and she's about to give her first 3-day masterclass. She's absolutely collapsing with fear. And we got her. We're there. And we just keep WhatsApping her and building her and telling her that we're there and you can do this and we know, and everything you want is on the other side of that fear. And every day you see her getting stronger and stronger. So I think it starts on Monday, right? So she's ready to go. But she was like, I'm sick to my stomach. I have a headache. I can't do this. We're like, yeah, no. You can do it. You can do it. We're here. We'll help you. How can we help you? It's wonderful. We also talk about the fact that, we got, where are you, Trace? Are you in Swaziland? Okay. Swaziland, Kenya, South Africa, Dubai, Oman, Germany, Ukraine. So we also have different worldviews. So we don't all have the same way of reading the material. And we really say, can you imagine doing this without this group? Because we become good friends. We've never met each other in person, but we're good friends. And it's because it's that power of community. I just can't imagine trying to do this without community. You wouldn't do it. You'd quit. You need support because it's challenging. Thank you very much, my dear colleague. Does anyone have any questions for Mohammed and me? It's very nice to see you, Mary McDonald. I haven't seen you since I left New York. Are there any questions?
I mean, feel free. Yeah, go ahead, Eric.
Paddy and Mohammed, I don't have a question. I just have a comment of how amazing this conversation was, and the power of the mind, and just looking at it in numbers of 95% is just auto mode. And if we don't have that awareness, we will keep repeating those habits that we don't want to repeat, that crazy question of why did I do that again, right? So the awareness that both of you brought to this room was amazing. I am very, very grateful for the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Erica. Thank you. Dr. Owen Fernandez, I would love to hear your comments. Dr. Fernandez is an expert in psychometrics. I'd love to hear what you're thinking.
Well, first of all, good evening from Slovakia, Central Europe. It's been a pleasure to participate and hear what you have said. Fantastic, explanation of how the conscious, the subconscious mind actually, in fact, reflects in our daily results. So let me tell you one thing, as I know about these things, but you can always learn. Your results are directly proportional to the level of awareness you carry. So just in case if you are not satisfied with the results, don't mention anything about your circumstances. Ask yourself why. if you're not satisfied with the results, is directly proportional to the level of awareness. So increase your level of awareness. And once you start climbing up the ladder of levels of awareness, you will find out that your subconscious mind actually, in fact, reflects all your results. And that's the aha moment. As I said, only 3% of the population basically is actually controlling 96% of the wealth. So what is it that they are doing differently? The only thing that they do differently is they first think, feel, create, and do. I repeat, they think, feel, create, and do. And thinking is the highest functional capability of a human being. Thinking is the highest functional capability of a human being. And unfortunately, we outsource our thinking to others. And thus, we basically jeopardize our lives and our results.
Yeah.
So the level of, I carry expertise. In fact, I'm gifted and I just bless, it's a gift on my life about psychometrics. So you need to know yourself in order to grow yourself and then soar. Most of the people just like to soar without knowing where are their roots planted. And as Paddy said right at the introduction, it's all in our DNA. The creator of the universe has made us perfect at the time of our birth, has made us perfect at the time of our birth. And we are made perfectly imperfect. And that imperfection is giving us an opportunity to make a choice to go deep within ourselves. So the win is always within us, friends. The win is always within us. So it's great to know Paddy, and today I am very happy to know Mohammed Sabri as well. And you know, the teachings of Bob Proctor and the stickman figure, the unconscious, the subconscious mind, the conscious mind, and the results is a great way of understanding. And as Paddy said, mind is a mental activity, it's not the brain. So if you ask a question to any audience anywhere in the world, as I do, when I say the word mind, what picture comes into your mind? Most of them talk about the brain. You know, so there you set yourself up saying that you're not aware of how the mind works. The brain is an organ, it's a mass, it's a chunk of material that is responsible for coordinating all the nervous and all the other systems of our body. But mind is the mental activity. And that's the reason why you've got to take care and protect your mind. That's where the thoughts come in. I can speak all night, but thank you so much. Thank you so much. I believe many of us have been benefited, and it's always good to go through these things, you know, go back to the basics, and thank you so much. It's been a Saturday out here. I've invested 90 minutes of my time with you, and I've got no regrets whatsoever.
Thank you.
I'm happy to hear that. Thank you very much, Owen. I'm really happy to see you, and thank you for letting me put you on the spot like that. Does anybody else have any comments, any questions, anything that you would like to add? We are a little bit over the 90 minutes. It often happens, especially with two of us, and we tend to be storytellers. And anybody have anything they'd like to say? I see there's some new messages coming in. I really want to thank you all too. I'm reading Svetlana's here. Build up pictures in his mind. It's true, you know, you can just build up, if you can see it, you can create it. I want to make a community. May I use this Zoom and more? That's Mary. May you use this recording? Why don't you unmute yourself, my dear?
It is to the left.
Am I there? Hey.
Yeah, there you are.
When I knew you here, there was a bit of a community. It was being grown by you as others. And now I am actually, I'm so proud of myself watching this, because I've done a lot of that. And I'm a happy person, and I'm more in control than a lot of people are. And I would love to have more people around me with the same way to communicate. And right now I don't, not at all. I sit and I write and I am entrepreneurial and I've done a lot of amazing things. And yet I had a roommate who told me that I was the laziest person she knew because I wasn't at the gym every day. So,
Yeah.
So
Mary is an artist, a very accomplished designer, artist, and not a lazy person. Well, Mary, it would be great for you to join this community and join with us because you know, this is for people like you. And I mean, I remember when Mary was designing hotels here in the Middle East as well as in India. And, you know, they would say, can you bring one example? And oh my gosh, Mary would get on that plane from New York and she had models and she had the most magnificent work. And this would be a wonderful program for you, Mary. It's so good to see you, my dear. So please join us. Stay in touch. Phone us. Talk to my partner there, Mohammed, because you know me. Maybe talk to Mohammed because he will. You know me, so you'll have. I know it'll happen when you and I'll get talking. But remember when you went to Goa? No. But talk to Mohammed, and he'll probably keep it on track.
It'd be my pleasure. I would love to.
Me too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Okay, anybody else? I see Mike there in Nigeria, and just any of you, if you, Walid, if you have anything to say, Alalia, Svetlana, any of you, please, Gaurav. And I see Taif is on. Oh, this is a wonderful.
I will start. First of all, thank you so
Alalia.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for this. I thought it was going to be like a, you know, an additional thing, but it's like reaffirming everything in my mind. And what I realized really, I've been following Bob Proctor for 4 years. However, I realized that it's not about all the information. It's about the organized knowledge, you know? And it's about the method that you advised us to do. Go with an organized, you know, organized way, repeating it over and over again. And my fiance and I started seeing some results. So it's great. I feel the shift inside of me. I'm seeing the results really, like it's amazing, the results that I'm seeing. Like I came here just taking like a leap of faith. I said, God, I've done everything. I've watched every video in the shower, outside of the shower, in the car. Why things are not happening? And then, subhanAllah, one day I was inspired to just sign up with you. So when I signed up, I was like, oh, is this another just coaching? Let me just go ahead and do that action, you know? There was like this energy. And I had a problem with money. And now I think it's shifting, I would say. And I noticed that, like it was so clear that I sent my fiance a picture of everything that is like, you know, shifting for me. And I was like, oh my God, like for example, my phone, every time I bought a phone, the screen would break, you know, something happens with my phone. Ever since I started using this material, my screen, which was broken because of water, you know, it was like faded, and my screen all of a sudden was cleared up. I swear I'm going to send you a picture. And I sent him a picture and I was like, I don't know, something told, because I was crying like the other night. I was just so tired of reading. And I was crying and I was like, I'm just so tired of repeating this, you know? Please, God, give me a sign that I'm on the right track. And I prayed and I cried. And then something told me, it's not about you, Alia. The problem is you're relying on yourself, but there is a higher power within you. And you go ahead and follow that power. It's not about your limitation. You have a limitation. Let's admit it. Just follow that path and you will learn. And you know, I don't believe in scarcity anymore. I think that there is like an abundance and all. And I'm so hopeful. And so many ideas started flooding into my mind. And you're right. The other mind, the old mindset will come in. The old mindset, which is others people's mindset, will come in and tell you, but you remember when you failed, la la la. And then I took a deep breath. But then I'm feeding the other you know, the mindset that, you know, took a leap of faith and took into this program. And I found the other one is getting stronger and stronger. And I started writing, you know, the part where it says, what can you do from what you have now? I had no idea what to write before. So I was just scribbling. And then it started to be organized. And now I'm taking some action. And I'm so happy and grateful to you both, to Allah who led me to you and to this program. Honestly, guys, I'm telling you, if you're hesitant, I was. And I signed up with Bob Proctor before, but I cut it short and I just said, come on, I'm just going to follow the YouTube video, the webinars, but it's about the organized knowledge. And you have to have a support and you have to express that, you know, doubts, and you have to have those people who know you perhaps better. And one last thing, sorry, I'm just too excited. I'm so happy to share this. When you told me, when you both told me, just borrow our faith, borrow our belief. I was like, what is that? What is this all about? Like, how do I borrow someone's? And I'm like, they seem to be so confident about this information. They have better results. They are like all accomplished people. Let me just, you know, surround myself with someone who's like different than all these people who are naysayers, and I look at their results and I don't like it. I don't want to end up like them. Let me just find someone who has the results. And then I didn't know what believe in my belief. However, I just believed in your results. And I thought, let me just listen to them. And I'm so grateful. And that's all with me. That's it. Thank you.
Dear Alalia, you are making your two old coaches here, just our hearts, I know, are singing. Thank you so much for speaking. And I'm really happy to hear that your results are changing. And she's right, you know, when your confidence, when you begin to falter in your confidence, you know, Mohammed and I, we believe in you. You can borrow our confidence in you, because we know that you're all born with greatness in you. And when you don't feel it, we have it. We have it for you. We'll feel it. You can borrow ours. That's what Alalia is talking about. Thank you, my dear. And I'm looking forward to your next class.
Thank you. Good night.
People are leaving, and I see that we are now like 23 minutes over the scheduled time. I want you to feel free to sign out if you want. Mohammed and I will stay on until you are all gone. If there's any other questions, I really want to encourage you, if you have any questions, please contact us. We can come together on a Zoom call, or we can meet you individually, however it is you want. This is really life-changing work. So people are saying good night, and so good night. And anybody, before we go, anybody have anything they want to add? Mike, you look like you're freezing cold there in Nigeria.
No, I'm actually in New York.
Oh, you're in New York?
Yes.
What are you doing in New York?
Yes. Well, I've been here for a few months.
Well, you don't keep in touch with your old teacher.
I'm
Well,
so
good. Are you
sorry.
you look really cold.
Well, it's a little cold, but not too cold, but it's cold.
Cold. Mary's in, you're in New York still, Mary, right now? Can't hear you.
She's muted.
Yeah, she's muted.
I'm in Westchester. I'm, 20 minutes by train outside of New York. So it's the same thing.
Same thing. New York,
You
New
in
York.
Manhattan?
Are you in Manhattan, Mike?
No, I'm in Brooklyn.
Oh, okay. Same thing.
Just across the
We're
bridge.
neighbors.
Yeah. Do we Madeline or Mike, do you have anything you'd like to say? And I see Taif is there. Does anybody have any comments before we
Yes,
send?
quickly, I was going to thank you for for all the lessons of Lent. I should have said this when we had a full house. Thank you so much, Paddy, for all the coaching. But more importantly, I'm picking 3 things is a lesson. It's been 90 minutes well spent. The first is that I must build my mental muscle, because it's a lot easier to lose focus than to stay on that particular point. So building my mental muscle is important. and you gave me two clues. One is using a candle and then using a dot. I'll stick to that. Then there's imagination, intuition, the willpower, memory, reasoning, and then perception. All those will come into play. Secondly, the second stuff that I picked is to respond, not react. Both of them appear like a feedback, but sincerely, while you were talking, I am able to recognize and dissect the difference between the two. I realized I need to stop reacting and begin to respond. And then the third point from Mohammed's story is about taking a decision and then doing the action, but more importantly, not listening to critics. And that is where I'm a little lost, because if you want to form a community, it's near impossible not to listen to critics. There's also the concept of the ego mentality, where you move alone, because we all know leaders never flock orders. You've got to ignore critics. I agree, but how do you delineate the difference between building a community and then ignoring? If you could shed light on that.
Mohammed, do you want to respond?
Maybe I did not get the point. Is if I understood well the question, because the voice was breaking, that how can you form a community without having critiques? Is it?
No,
or,
you want to be in a community, yet you don't want to listen to critics.
Right.
Not that you don't want to listen to them. You don't want them to infiltrate your thoughts. But Mohammed, you take that one, please.
Yeah. Normally, the way I look at it, I can hear any feedback from people. Rather than reacting, I will respond. I will start analyzing. Does Mike, what information he offered me, does it help me to grow? If it is, I will jump on it. I will leave my ego aside and take his advice. Also, maybe I don't like Mike. I don't care, but he gave me a treasure because it will help me to grow. It will help me to get something maybe more. So this is how you need to filter. Put your ego aside and look, that information as is, and you make it what is. You take it and you decide how you want to take it forward. So this is how I deal normally with information from the community. But trust me, normally people in the community, they will be supporting each other.
Yeah.
And this is the whole idea, is you want, people are like-minded, they want to grow rather than pull you down. And this is where you need to filter the right community, which one you want to join.
That makes a lot of sense, filtering the right community. And of course, deciding, like Paddy told me a long time ago, getting up quickly from bed and leaving my ego in bed while the ego is still asleep, then I can take the right decisions.
Yeah, the community that we're talking about is really a community of support. Like, when you make a mastermind, it has to be people who are on the same wavelength. I mean, if you're going to be building these big dreams and using illogical sense instead of common sense, you got to have people who are like jiving with you and vibing with you. Otherwise, they're going to like, are you out of your mind? Have you lost your mind somewhere between Nigeria and Brooklyn? They'll ask you that. So you've got to be with a community of people that, and of course, life is not like that. I mean, you go to a Toastmasters meeting, you got people you love, you got people you don't like so much. It's just the way it is. And you still don't let them infiltrate. But when you're creating and developing your own self-awareness, it's a really good idea, I think, to be really careful who you tell your dreams to and who you tell those fantasies to, because the world is full. Again, Bob, when he made that one mistake in the math and 2,000 people hollered at him, right? And because the world is full of that. And you really have to be careful because Les Brown, one of my favorite speakers, says that, the graveyard's the richest part of town because everybody dies. So many people die with their riches inside them, with their gems still inside, because maybe they started to talk about a dream or a plan. And then people were like, here you go again. You're so full of yourself or whatever. People just love to do that. I don't know why we're geared that way. But I think that, you got to really be careful who you choose to tell that to. My former husband, my son's father, is a composer. And even when he was doing stuff, like he didn't even want to tell me because, maybe because I was his wife and he was afraid I was going to say, well, that's a stupid idea because, husband and wife, you talk more freely amongst each other than you do with other people maybe. But he had a very firm belief and he lived and he became extremely successful. He still is. I'm talking like in the past tense, he's alive and he's still very successful. But he's done some major composing, especially for Canadian Broadcasting Television. I mean, he got a beautiful life. Never knew what his dream was, what it was doing, until he had gotten it far enough along that nobody could naysay him and change his mind. And I wasn't like that. I was one of those tell everybody. And then a lot of times it never got anywhere because there were so many people that said, well, how are you going to do that? Well, you can't do that. I mean, you know me, Mike, I'm self-educated, right? And even my dear late brother, who was my business partner before he passed, like, Paddy, you can never do what you want to do. There's no room for self-educated people. Excuse me, Bob Proctor was self-educated. Doug Dane, who basically runs the company, a lot of the self-educated. A lot of people are self-educated. And so you can do it. I mean, it's nice to have PhDs. Mike's a doctor, so I have full respect. He's a PhD. I have full respect for that. But as Bob used to say, you can be brilliant and not have any success, and you can be dumb as a post and be very successful. You just have to know who you are and your belief, and really you have to protect your dream. And you have to protect yourself because God loved the world, but they're just in there to say, you're an idiot. You can't do that. My brother always called me, everything was, oh, Paddy, you're such an idiot. When I left New York and I wanted to do the work I was doing in New York, Mary was there. My mom had been hit by a car. So I ended up going to Victoria, British Columbia, from the city that never sleeps to the city that never wakes up. And there was no international business. And Mary will tell you, I mean, my clients, the head of L'Oreal, international bankers, I mean, they were big clients. Now I'm in this sleepy place. It's like the end 2008, 2009. I got the brainy idea that, well, I'm going to do all this on Skype. And my brother, who was a CEO, said, well, Paddy, you're such an idiot. How's that going to work? What CEO wants to take his classes? And I said, what do you mean? He said, they're going to come on Skype. I said, well, now they don't have to fly to New York. They don't have to stay in a 5-star hotel. They don't have to have all that money. They can stay at home. They can be with their kids and their families. And, within a few years, that little company of mine has reached into over 100 countries. But if I listened to my brother, who was the CEO, and he was really bright, and I miss him terribly, I wouldn't have done it. So, we all have these stories, I think, of where when we listen to ourselves, we know it's our intuition, probably the voice of the great creator speaking to us. I have a little private message here from somebody who's on. I don't want to read it out loud yet. Mohammed, please. I just want to see if I can address these questions or whatever is here, okay? Oh. Well, my dear Taif, you should call either Mohammed or me or both of us. I won't read the message out loud because you've sent it to me privately, but please follow through on this, okay? Contact either of us or both of us, okay? Because I think that we could talk to you about this. Okay? You can just say yes or a thumbs up or something. Okay. Oh, one new message, let's see. Okay, well, I think that it could be both of us if you want, my dear. She's asking if it's fine if it's me or you, Mohammed, and we can get on the call together.
Yeah, no issues.
Love to do that. Okay. It's kind of late now. We've been on for 2 hours and you got to respect people's time. Does anybody have anything that, Madeline, you have unmiked yourself, unmuted yourself.
In order to have you hear my voice say thank you to both of you, Mohammed and Patty. You touched so many important points. I feel I'm in an amazing fabric and I'm loving it. I have many touch points just from today. So thank you for that. And I will stay in touch and we will see how I progress over the months ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a wonderful weekend to everyone.
Thank you. I
Thank
see
you.
this lovely woman on the bottom of my screen with an African name, and I don't know how to say it. Yetunde? I don't know. Do you have anything you want to say? Yes, I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name. Yetunde,
Yeah.
how nice to see you. Do you have any comments you'd like
Nice
to
to
make?
see you too. Just to say thank you very much. I've learned a lot from this meeting, and I'll be applying a lot to myself because one of the things I wanted to learn was resilience, and I think my mental health and stability is very important. And I've noted down some things I'll be doing on the daily. Thank you very much.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
And please follow us there on our Facebook page and feel free to contact us. I'm trying every day to put up, I don't like to, when I say I'm trying, that's a stupid, pathetic expression. Every day, I aim to put up something from Bob Proctor because, he was our teacher. He just died. I guess they knew he was going to pass, but we didn't know. And it's up to us, his teachers and his consultants, to keep not only his material alive, but the material of Napoleon Hill and Wallace D. Wattles and Thomas Troward and all of these people. He kept their work alive for 60 years, and now it's up to us to do the same thing. So we will continually post on that, just little quotations from him, little nuggets that we learn from him that it's really important that we share. So if you're not on the Facebook page, what is it? It's your GPS. What is the name of the Facebook page?
Yeah, your GPS to success.
Success, yeah.
Yeah, so once we are done the recording, I will send it to everyone who attended.
Okay.
And I will put a link for people who's not in our Facebook group. They can click and join our Facebook group.
Okay.
So we do. Sure.
Excellent.
Right.
Well, thank you everyone for staying with us for over 2 hours. It was not the plan, but it's always good, I think, when it goes over time because people are engaging. So if you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're right.
You're right. That's right.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
See you again. Okay. Take care. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.